It's only been a few months since Spider-Man 3 debuted to a chorus of yawns, but Activision has managed to complete another game in the franchise just in time for the holidays. This one, however, is made for the kids. Spidey's adversaries are abducted by an unknown villain searching for pieces of the meteor that created Venom. In his search, the evil mastermind sends forth an army of symbiotes, and Spider-Man sets out to stop them with the help of Nick Fury and a band of allies that he gains along the way. From Nick Fury's ship, you'll choose a sidekick and beam down to a level full of bad guys to beat up and objects to smash. A second player can jump in or out of the game at any time, or if you're playing alone, you can switch between Spider-Man and one of the many allies you gain along the way.
You think you're pretty sneaky, don't you?
Yeah. Oh boy.
Friend or Foe's level structure is as basic as it gets. Each of the 5 locations contains 4 separate levels, and there's little to distinguish one from the next. You'll walk through an open area, encounter a group of bad guys, and then move on, finding an extra room here or there. The levels are straightforward, and it's disappointing that you can't use a character's abilities outside of combat. Not once will you get to fly Green Goblin's glider, send Rhino charging through a wall, or scale walls or swing across gaps as Spider-Man. Enemies are just as uninspired. Not counting bosses, you'll fight the same 3 guys throughout the entire game. They do change colors and get slightly more difficult as you progress, but a fresh coat of paint does little to keep players from getting bored of repeating the same fights again and again.
Boy, those guys are ugly.
The only thing that keeps combat fresh is the constant infusion of new sidekicks, as every other stage unlocks another ally. Ultimately, once you've played 1 or 2 levels in Friend or Foe, you've played them all, leaving little reason to trudge through the 20 stages. While there isn't much variety in the levels or enemies, Friend or Foe does have a fun combat system with 14 characters to choose from. Each character has basic attacks, grabs, and combos, and holding an attack button will activate one of your special moves. Special items also trigger team attacks that can clear out every creature on the screen. Each ally has 2 special moves, but Spider-Man has access to 3 different combat trees. By pressing the shoulder buttons, you can switch between Spidey's web line, web shot, and web stun styles of combat. You can use lines to trip up foes, shots to attack or bomb from a distance, and stun techniques to wrap up baddies and stop them in their tracks. Each move in Spidey's arsenal can be upgraded between levels with tokens that you collect along the way. Each of the 13 sidekicks has a distinct fighting style, but unfortunately, the best picks tend to be the ones with moves that are easy to spam. Scorpion's beam can take down baddies from across the stage. Venom can stand in place and repeatedly unleash spikes into anyone that comes near him. And Black Cat can float above the fray, grabbing smaller goons from a distance and slamming them into the ground. The best of the bunch is Blade, whose swords, blade rangs, and EMP bombs deal a lot of damage, but still require players to do more than tap the same button over and over.
Spider-Man!
While Friend or Foe is clearly targeted at younger players, it's still too easy.
Hold still so I can bob you one.
Dying has little consequence during standard gameplay since you just respawn, and you're constantly given items that grant invincibility and extra damage. Boss fights are a little better since you don't have access to items and your characters won't respawn, but it's very disappointing that Venom is the easiest boss in the game. The character selection keeps Friend or Foe going for a while, but the gameplay is too simple and repetitive to hold the player's attention through its meager 6-hour length. While the game is certainly going for a more comic book style, Friend or Foe clearly was not designed with next-gen graphics in mind. Some textures and special effects look bad, and character models look blocky up close. On the upside, the voice work is on the same level as a Saturday morning cartoon, and the lines can be pretty funny at times.
Venom doesn't want to help. He wants to eat me alive.
Curse you, Spider!
Spider-Man Friend or Foe is an obvious attempt to rush a product out before mom and dad finish their Christmas shopping. While it hosts a great set of playable characters, it doesn't make the best use of them, and the recycled enemies, boring level design, and low production values make for a brawler that's simply uninspired.